that a deal isn't even going to be considered of any kind. But we just got to line it up, rack them up and go, and you just can't get to trial because the judge isn't there, or the DA can't get their witness, and it's continuance after continuance, and the case can go on for years. Okay, and there's a whole lot in between those two extremes. So I'm wondering if, David, in your observations in the courtroom, I mean, do you have any sense? Because I guess there's so much you don't get to see when you're just sitting in the, in the gallery, as to whether the judges, are they kind of holding people accountable? Say when the prosecutor maybe doesn't have just in ready. I mean, are they trying to put pressure on the defense attorneys and the DAs to do their work so that the case can move forward if it's meant to?
I'll tell you, since our president's been back there, the judges has been putting pressure on both parties to have the cases move, even as to go to the trial or to accept a plea bargain that's there. The judges are putting pressure on attorneys for instance, you got some defense attorneys being even show up, but that's the tactic that they use too to have a case continue. I mean, there's also the sort of tactics that attorneys use. You should be aware of that. You mean an attorney, But however, I'm not saying that you do it, but the judges from our president, at first it wasn't like that. That's why our president has been a lot of improvement in the court system and abroad. A lot of these cases are being brought to trial more rapidly than they were before. There's been a great increase with our persons there.
Well, I mean, do you think that in other words, I'm wondering, what you can do, with continuance is a statistic. A judge that's trying cases, I had a case, continued the other day because the judge is in trial. And they got, right. So they got 50 people set up and they're working. I mean, maybe a judge has got a whole bunch of cases that need to be tried and they're just really working their tail off, and the attorneys are working really, really hard in that division, and everyone's getting continued because they're just always trying. Because when you're trying a case, you can just do that one case and that's pretty much it. So that's maybe their continuous statistics would be high. Whereas another, judge might just be, very, wanting to be friendly with everybody and doesn't know how to say no. And so any excuse, the DA or the defense makes, so give them as many continuances as they want. And I've seen judges, I'll say this, they don't want to go to trial. They just don't want to go to trial. They want to get there. They want to get through their docket. I don't know what they're doing after lunch, but, 12:30, they got their time and they're going to be done, and so they're not going to go to trial because they don't want to be there all day. They don't want to be there, the next day on the same case. And maybe, do you think that the judges are, I mean, are they all, I mean, the report's pretty favorable impressions of the judges. I mean, do you think the judges are in any way, holding these people accountable? They find people in contempt of court if an attorney doesn't show up to trigger continuance?
There have been some cases, as a matter of fact, more recent than before. A lot of attorneys are being held in contempt of court. But what I've also noticed, too, is the fact that the judges are pushing for a lot of plea bargains, too, to get the case moved.
Well, they can't try all the cases. No. There's way too many of them. And so they have to get plea bargains. Right. But see, and that's where the prosecutors kind of got, it's like if you got a lawsuit, the insurance company can always solve the problem with a check. They might not like the amount, but they can always end the case. All they got to do is put that signature with the number you want, and you're gone. You forgot about them. And so it's the same with, with the prosecutor. They can say, well, we'll dismiss the case, or we'll take a misdemeanor or whatever. But at the same time, what power does the judge have when the judge says we're going to trial and the prosecutor shows up and says, well, Judge, I don't have my witnesses? I mean, have you seen any judges saying, well, you don't have your witnesses here? Too bad. You got to go forward anyway?
Yeah, I've seen some.
Who's doing that? Who's tough? Who's tough like that?
Judge Park is one that he will force you to go to trial.
And he'll just dismiss the case if the DA is not ready to go?
He has one case in particular that he threatened to dismiss just to make sure they go to trial. But he's the one that's very enforceful as far as getting a trial done as well as George Pittman is doing the same thing, putting force on the attorneys to go to trial. And you notice also the fact that there are cases that's scheduled for trial, 2 or 3, maybe 4 of them. They're doing that to make sure that one case goes to trial that particular day.
Yeah. We've got on the hotline, it looks like, my friend attorney Dave Capasso. Let's see what Dave's up to. Dave?
Hey, Russ.
Hey, how are you doing? Are you in Sandestin?
Yes, I'm at the Louisiana State Bar Association's annual meeting in our lawyers' summer school as they train us to learn a few things about a few legal matters.
Can an old dog like you really learn any new tricks, Dave?
Well, I mean, I'm down at the Gulf. We're actually staying at Navarre Beach, which is, right about 30 miles past Pensacola.
Right.
And the bar convention is in Sandestin. And I have to say, I'm quite surprised that the beaches where I'm at are fine. There are some guys taking samples, but if you weren't reading the newspaper or watching TV, you wouldn't know anything about what's going on. But for right now, we're still hovering and waiting. There's some signs that have been on Pensacola Beach and Perdido that say advisory of watch what's in the water. But my dad and mom came down from New York City, and he remembers in the 30s and 40s swimming in Coney Island, and where these ships used to dump all their stuff, and it was just a common practice that you swam in.
I think they're still dumping
water.
their stuff. We just now have the oil spill in addition to the stuff that big ships are dumping.
That's right. But there was some concern about the litigation that if this becomes a criminal matter, then BP could be reduced to the place where Pan Am went or other companies went, that they may go down for the count, not be able to survive the lawsuits and the litigation. The stock has already plummeted 30%, but
I'm available. I haven't represented the major oil company as a criminal defendant yet, but I'm available, BP. And since I haven't really actually represented one of the Seven Sisters as a criminal before, I will cut my fees down a little bit, since it become a little bit of a learner for me. I don't think they're going to have a good time in front of any juries, Dave, even in Texas. I just got a feeling people are not going to feel really, really sorry about the 4th largest company in the world being held accountable for that.
Well, did you were the one that told me that the oil may actually fade out to the Atlantic and go right to England, where BP is. So maybe that's God's final blow. Will get this oil spill to land on the shores of Great Britain.
Well, no, you know what else? I was watching what is it called, 360 with
Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, Anderson Cooper, and guess who? He's there claiming to have an exclusive interview with our friend Matt, who our listeners know that was not an exclusive interview because we hit him first as a survivor of the Deep Horizon right here on WBOK before Anderson Cooper had even got off the plane. Before he even bought his plane ticket, we had him right here at WBOK. So we scooped Anderson Cooper. He wasn't totally straight about that. He didn't mention me or you. He just acted like he was the first guy to talk to Matt.
Okay.
Listen,
well, a lot of breach of contract cases have already started to come up. My neighbor had rented a place on the internet with somebody for the June 19th weekend. He was thinking about canceling and could he get a deposit back if the beaches are closed. You're going to run into that the owners of these rental properties are going to say, well, that has nothing to do with me that the beaches are closed. If you can't rent, then it's your loss. I mean, what do you say to that about if they close beaches? Well, how does that affect people's rental agreements going to the beach and going to the rental property?
It's unimaginable to me the scope of loss claims that can be made from different ends that apparently BP has said we're paying all legitimate claims, but the magnitude of that is something I still can't get my mind around.